think of June Carter Cash's song "Ring of Fire." I fell into a burning ring of fire, and that's how romance, that's how desire is.
Sure.
I like the fireplace analogy.
Yeah.
That if we keep the fire in the right place, it warms the whole house.
Right.
If the fire goes outside of those boundaries, then it can burn the house down. We don't like anyone telling us what to do with, especially our personal lives. And yet it seems like half the planet is on fire from this raging fire that's just goes wherever it wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mention June Carter Cash and Johnny Cash. To me, their story is the story of God's redemption. You know, she wrote that song because he was a married man. She had been divorced twice, and yet they were passionately in love to the point where they were having an affair.
Which is fire outside of the fireplace.
Totally. Yeah. You know, I think God can redeem anything.
Yeah. I'm sure from her perspective, or maybe even from the perspective of the kids from that first marriage, they probably have a hard time with, it was beautiful what him and June got into, even though God redeemed it. And so, of course, that's the story of our lives, isn't it? We make mistakes, we have regrets, and then God redeems those things.
I think he can redeem anything.
Yeah.
And he takes the ragamuffins of the world and he uses them. And like I was talking about with my sobriety, there's miracles in that. That's a whole, I mean, if you're getting sober, it's all about redemption. It has to be all about redemption.
How many people, let's say, who are listening to our talk right now, how many of them have only had sex with one person and it was after marriage?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that question, but it's probably a fairly small percentage.
Sure. Yeah.
And so does that mean God is only wants to bless and favor a very small percentage, or is he a God of redemption?
Right. Yeah. Look at the woman caught in adultery. Who knows what was going on behind the scenes, but they wanted to shame this woman in front of Jesus, and they wanted to see what was going to happen. And he looked at her with love and he said, you know, where are your condemners? They're, you know, she basically, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. She basically said, they're gone. And he said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. And people look at that as a legalistic thing too. Like, he's saying, don't sin anymore, so you shouldn't sin. And I saw this thing on Facebook one time where basically he was communicating, don't hurt yourself anymore. Because it hurts me when you hurt yourself.
Yeah, you're worth more than this. I've just saved you from a stoning, and let's not walk back into that. That's redemption.
Yeah.
Well, you quoted chapter 2 as far as some of the beauty of this literature. I feel the same way. I want to quote from chapter 7, which I think is also beautiful. How beautiful you are, and how pleasing, my love, with your delights. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breasts like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree. I will take a hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like clusters of grapes on the vine, the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your mouth like the best wine. This is her response. May the wine go straight to my beloved, blowing gently over lips and teeth. I belong to my beloved. His desire is for me. Come, my beloved, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I have stored up for you, my beloved. And I love the imagery. It's right there. It's not hiding anything. I love the commitment to each other. I've stored it up for you. You mentioned earlier that just because this is about probably about romantic sexual love, it doesn't mean it's not spiritual.
Right.
But I think maybe what we do is we take anything sexual and we put it in the category of bad as Christians. Yeah. And this is bad. And
there's boundaries, but I think there's a whole different outlook where you could say there's not a lot of boundaries.
Yeah.
There's
if you're committed to each other,
yeah,
and you're not just saying that, like
right,
a lot of people say, well, I'm committed. We're spiritually married, but
right,
we're not going to actually get married, because the reality is that their love is half-hearted. They're not
right,
fully committed.
yeah,
And if they're honest, maybe they'll admit that, yeah, I'm not ready to commit to this person, but I'm ready to enjoy the fruits of commitment. Really, it should be, I hope you can get to a point to where you fully love each other and can fully give yourselves to each other, so
yeah,
that you're not hurting each other. Kind of
right.
thing.
As I grow in my faith, I am starting to come to an understanding of the importance of a legal union.
Mhm.
I mean, you're all in that, right? Like if
Yeah.
you want to back out, I've been through it. There's a lot that you need to do.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, there's great meaning in that,
Mhm.
you know, having your friends and family together to witness that union. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing.
I think percentage-wise, 50% of marriages end in divorce. A higher percentage of marriages at some point involve some type of infidelity.
Mhm.
Very few people wait until marriage to become sexually intimate. Is it the worst of the worst, or are there other things that are actually more damaging, more important?
Well, speaking as someone who is far from perfect, I don't think the fruit is necessarily always the fruit of God in your life is not necessarily always in what you don't do. I think it's also in what you do.
Are we loving our neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Are we being generous? Are we being kind? And
Yeah.
I would think that if we've got freedom and purity in any area that we have that in, it's gonna overflow in gratitude and thanksgiving and blessing to others. And
Yeah.
maybe instead of being the rules police, we can walk in freedom and encourage others to do the same.
Fortunate to have an eye for a soul and a disease that can never be cured.